Everyone is watching Florida right now. The condos crashing, the insurance crisis, the migration wave dying. And yeah, Florida is ugly. But folks, while everyone is staring at Florida, something 50 times bigger is building underneath the entire U.S. housing market. And the numbers are not even close. Florida's housing correction involves roughly 80,000 unsold condos and a handful of Sunbelt metros giving back pandemic gains. What I'm about to show you involves $1.8 trillion in commercial real estate debt maturing by the end of 2026, 88.2 million American households priced out of homeownership, and an affordability gap so severe that incomes would need to rise 56% just to get back to 2019 levels. Florida is a symptom. What's coming is the disease. Here's what we're breaking down today. Number one, the commercial real estate debt wall that's about to trigger forced sales across every major American city. Number two, the affordability crisis that has now locked out 65% of U.S. households from buying a home. And number three, why the next 12 months could reshape American real estate for a generation. City number 3 on the debt wall list is the one that should terrify you. Stay for that. Let's go. So let's start with the thing nobody in residential real estate is talking about, the commercial debt wall. Because this is what turns a housing correction into a housing crisis. During the mid-2000s, when interest rates were near zero, developers and investors loaded up on commercial real estate debt. Office towers, apartment complexes, retail centers, billions and billions in loans taken out at 3 to 4% interest with 5 to 10-year terms. Those terms are now expiring, and the world they're expiring into looks nothing like the world they were written in. According to MSCI, over $930 billion in commercial real estate loans will come due in 2026 alone. Some estimates from TREP put the total maturing by end of 2026 at $1.8 trillion. Let that number sink in, $1.8 trillion. That's not a typo. That's roughly the entire GDP of Canada coming due on properties that in many cases are worth 30 to 50% less than when those loans were written. And here's what makes this a residential problem, not just a commercial one. When these loans can't be refinanced, and many of them can't, because the average rate on new CRE loans is now 6.24%, up from 4.76% on the maturing debt. The owners have three choices: inject massive new equity, which most can't afford, extend and pretend, which lenders are running out of patience for, or sell at distressed prices, which floods inventory into local markets, tanks property values, crushes tax revenue, and drags down every home within a 10-mile radius. This is already happening. In the first half of 2025, lenders recorded nearly 150 CRE foreclosures, the highest mid-year total since 2014. Total distressed CRE volume hit $126.6 billion in Q3 2025, up 18% year over year. And MSCI expects 60% of the most distressed apartment loans to come due in the second half of 2026, likely triggering a fresh wave of foreclosures. The office sector is ground zero. Vacancy rates sit near 18.2%, and the special servicing rate for office CMBS loans hit 15.8%, meaning nearly 1 in 6 office loans is now being handled by a special servicer. That's not a correction. That's a crisis in progress. And this isn't confined to Manhattan skyscrapers. The cities with the most CRE debt stress include Dallas, Washington, D.C., San Diego, and Denver. When a 50-story office tower in your city defaults and sells for 40 cents on the dollar, that reprices every comparable property in the area. When apartment complexes built in 2021 go to foreclosure because the math doesn't work at 6% rates, that pushes rents down, which pushes home values down, which puts more homeowners underwater. It's a chain reaction, and it's just getting started. Real quick, if this data is helping you see what's really happening, hit that notification bell. We break this down every week, and the viewers who see it first are the ones making the smartest moves. Now let's talk about the residential side, because the affordability crisis has now reached a point that is genuinely unprecedented in American history. According to NAHB, 65% of U.S. households cannot afford a median-priced new home, in 2026. That's not a fringe statistic. That's nearly 2 out of every 3 American families locked out of homeownership entirely. At a median price of $413,595 and a 6% mortgage rate, roughly 88.2 million households are priced out. And here's what's insane. If the median price goes up by just $1,000, another 156,000 households get pushed out. The margin is that thin. Redfin's data shows the typical homebuyer now spends about 34% of their income on housing, well above the 30% threshold that defines being cost-burdened. The income needed to afford a median-priced home is $111,252. The typical household earns about $86,185. That's a $25,000 gap. The average American family is $25,000 a year short of affording the average American home. And Realtor.com calculates that getting back to 2019 affordability would require household incomes to rise 56% to a median of $132,171. That is not happening in anyone's lifetime forecast. Home prices relative to median household income have now risen 5-fold. And since 2019, the income needed to buy a single-family home has doubled. Doubled in 6 years. This isn't a market adjusting. This is a market breaking. And this is where the Florida comparison falls apart. Florida is correcting because of insurance, special assessments, and a migration stall. That's a regional story with regional causes. What I'm describing is structural. It's nationwide. The affordability gap doesn't care whether you're in Tampa or Toledo. Over 75% of homes on the market are unaffordable to the typical American household. 75%. 3 out of 4 homes for sale in America right now. The average family cannot buy them. And the insurance crisis that everyone associates with Florida, it's going national. Research firm First Street projects that foreclosures across the U.S. could increase by 380% over the next decade due to climate-driven insurance costs. Not in Florida. Nationwide. Properties in wildfire zones, floodplains, tornado alleys. Insurance carriers are pulling back everywhere. And it is impossible to secure a mortgage without home insurance, which means entire neighborhoods are becoming effectively untransactable. Now layer in what's happening with actual sales. New home sales dropped 17.6% in January 2026, the lowest level since October 2022. Home purchase cancellations have hit a record high. Foreclosure filings nationwide were up 14% in 2025, with foreclosure starts up 213% from the pandemic-era low. And according to Residential Club analysis, 75% of the largest metro areas saw inflation-adjusted home price declines over the last year. And this is not a Florida problem with a national accent. This is a national problem that Florida just happened to show first. The commercial debt wall is nationwide. The affordability crisis is nationwide. The insurance retreat is nationwide. The foreclosure acceleration is nationwide. Redfin is calling it the Great Housing Reset, a years-long period where the market slowly grinds back toward reality. They're projecting it could take until 2030 for homes to become what they call normal, meaning a median earner can afford a median home spending 30% of their income. That's 4 more years of pain. So here's what to do. If you're a homeowner, understand that your home's value is tied to forces bigger than your neighborhood. If there's a commercial tower or apartment complex within 10 miles of you heading toward distress, that's your problem too. Know your equity, know your exposure, and have a plan. If you're a buyer, time is actually on your side for the first time in years. But be strategic. Don't catch a falling knife. Watch for the forced sales from the commercial debt wall. Those will reprice entire neighborhoods and create the real opportunities. If you're a seller, price to the market that exists today, not the one you remember. Every month you wait in a correcting market is a month you lose. Florida gets the headlines. But the real story is the $1.8 trillion debt wall, the 88 million priced out households, and the insurance crisis going national. That's what's 50 times worse. And it's already in motion. Subscribe with the bell on. Drop a comment telling us what you're seeing in your market. The people who track these numbers in real time are the ones who come out ahead. See you in the next one.